You guys literally just wing this. What are we going to talk about?
Hold on. I mean, yes, wing it. We have a lot to talk about. I do this to myself every day on the way home, so there's always plenty to talk about. I just get bored with talking to myself, so we got this going on.
So we are the victims.
It's kind of like you're including us into the inner dialogue.
I have a victim mentality right now. All right, what you guys got? What are we talking about today?
All right, welcome back to the Official Talk Hard podcast, where we talk about some pretty interesting things.
And controversial and stuff that we cut out a lot. There's a lot of editing on this show because Brian Kendrick's here.
I'm really not that bad. I feel like I've got to be censored all the time. I'm not that guy.
Okay.
Son of a bitch.
So,
all right, come on.
What is the topic? Because we left it up to you today. Because we like to fly by the seat of our whatever.
Well, I don't.
What would you like?
What if I
talk
pick
about?
a topic and you guys just talked about it last week?
Nope, it didn't happen.
All right, let's talk about. All right, I was thinking about this on the way over because I thought you guys might ask. So here's where my mind goes. All right, you know that they say a couple cliches here for you, or a catchphrase, or something that you could live your life by. It depends on whatever you want to call it. But not to confuse the winner's circle with the comfort zone. Complacency is the enemy of greatness. All of those things. Mm-hmm. But I think it's even more applicable to those of us in recovery, because I was thinking about my comfort zone, and my spirit animal just might be a pig. Like, I could be comfortable in the most toxic, horrible situations. Like, I could be comfortable never getting up, just wallowing around in my own filth like a pig. Okay. I was thinking about...
This is a good topic.
I was thinking about getting comfortable in my mental illness, in my self-pity, in that victim role. I was thinking about all the toxic things I did in my addiction for 20 years that I was comfortable with versus the things that made me uncomfortable, such as signing back up for school, filing taxes, getting on the map, all of the things.
Doing your dishes, making a bed, the simple things sometimes.
All of it, what a lot of people would consider normal and routine, was horribly uncomfortable for me. Okay. But living in the streets, surrounded by people that, you know, that are just really dark and dangerous, a common sense would had me terrified in the situations I threw myself into.
Oh, correct me if I'm wrong. You're like me. Like I was incredibly comfortable in a bar at 9 a.m. Right? I was in like you. You was incredibly comfortable with sharing needles with junkies in an alleyway in downtown Chicago. I mean, these are the types of comfort zones that we get ourselves into. And I think the good topic with this is like, I think, like, how many people, how many viewers out here and how many people in the world are just so comfortable in these in the life situations that they got themselves in due to poor choices, bad choices, things not working out, poor toxic relationships, drugs and alcohol,
abusive relationships.
I mean, we just get ourselves so, like, we talk about this. Me and Brian talk about this a lot. Is the fact that, you know, it's so incredibly hard to discipline yourself, to change your we talk about the neurological pathways. Brian does a lot because he likes to get into those big words and do these.
Well, hold on. I like to read a lot of big words and repeat them. Don't act like
regurgitate them, right?
Yeah.
But no, it's true, because we got these our brains, whether we've been in addiction or toxic relationships or just bad choices, for 5 years, 10 years, 20 years of your life. Like, your brain is set to fire off that way. It's going to go that way. It's going to go that way. It's going to go that way. And to change that, you got to reverse and train your brain to do something that's incredibly uncomfortable. And here's the other thing too. Like, I started this new morning routine, and I was on fire. This is what happens in recovery a lot too. They talk about the pink clouds. I was on fire with this new morning routine. I was getting up on time, like getting up with intention. At a specific time that I said I would get up on time, I would do this, I would meditate, I would do my reading, I would get my son on the bus, and all the while, for the first hour of my day, I would not touch the phone. I would not get on social media. I would not scroll or look at my likes or do any of that. And that was hard. And then I would take my cold shower, right? I would take this icy cold shower to get me up, because I read about the benefits behind it, mental health benefits and all the other circulatory organs getting oxygen benefits of it, right? And that was great for about 15 days. And this is where I think the pink cloud kind of applies to in recovery. It was great. Then I loved it because I set a new course and I'm like, I'm doing it. I'm actually doing it. So I'm motivated by the fact that I'm actually doing it. And the phone's over there calling my name every damn morning. It's like, pick me up. You want to touch me.
I don't want to take us off topic, but I have to bring this up.
Here's
where I have to call bullshit, because he would say he was supposed to get up at 5:30 and not touch his phone for an hour. He'd make a post at 5:45 about how he's not touching his phone. Just kidding.
But back to the point, because F you, Brian. That's not. But back to the point is
this is me meditating.
Back to the point, though, is that it was easy and it was fun and I was on fire about it. And then come day 15, 16, 17, it's just like it's getting harder and harder to do.
It wasn't easy. It was exciting.
Excitement.
That makes things feel easier, right? And then that excitement dwindles, and that's where you find out what you're made of.
Well, you actually, like, the excitement dwindles. I'm just going to add to that. The excitement dwindles, and then the results aren't what you want them to be. They're not this, because I have an expectation of this is just going to change my life, just like in recovery, like everything's great. Life hits you and, oh shit, life's hard. And then you like, F it, I ain't doing these things no more.
So comfort comes from what's easy, right? It was easy to be in the street. It was easy to share needles instead of going to Walgreens, looking the lady in the face, acting like you were a diabetic. And it was theoretically easier than going through the hassle of stealing something from Walgreens or buying them or whatever it's if like grab it from you versus making any sort of effort. It's easier. So comfort comes from what's easy, and we allow ourselves, because our brain is a prediction model. So if we know what's going to happen, that's easier on our brain. So we know what the heroin or the meth is going to do. So we don't have to worry about it. Like, I know I'm going to be up for 5 days when I snort 2 grams of meth.
Woo!
Right? Like, I know what's coming, so I don't got to think about it anymore.
It's not easy.
But we think that it is, right?
But
Be careful.
It feels easy because you can predict the future with it. And what comes from discomfort is not being able to predict what's about to happen. That's what makes things hard. Like, we want to know what's next. So you knew the results coming from what you were doing in the morning, and you were feeling them. And as soon as they started to dwindle and the results didn't feel as powerful, now is when you really start to feel the results, because the point of it was to push. And as soon as you don't have to push anymore, everything else gets in the way, but that's when you're really supposed to push.
Right, that's that second push.
Like the excitement, you can get anything to move. It's keeping it moving.
Momentum.
That's why a lot of these motivational speakers are saying that motivation, I mean, it's temporary, it's fleeting, it's sometimes instantaneous. It lasts for a moment. But what happens when you don't feel inspired anymore? Like I could talk really eloquently and inspire you and light a fire in your ass, and then I'm done talking and you go right back to doing what you've always done. And say I could be motivated. I could watch these YouTube videos or listen to a powerful preacher, and man, in that moment, my feelings got me on fire. But really, what matters is the discipline when the feelings are gone, and it's just.
Well, that's the thing. It's not. It doesn't matter if I can inspire you if you can't inspire yourself.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't matter what I say to you. I might be able to give you a tool, but if you don't know how to pick it up and use it, it doesn't matter, right? So that's the difference. Like, they've done statistics on this before, where the majority of people that go to these motivational things are usually in a slump of some sort, or they want something more. They have an aha moment, and I think it's around 5% of people.
I think that's high.
I'm being generous.
Yeah.
Use it and actually do something with it. It's because
I admire your kindness.
Their intentions were wrong from the jump, right?
Well, and this is where
they were waiting. I'm waiting for you to fix my problems.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Everything's backwards. I think we live our lives backwards. We're all waiting for all this crap outside to do something for us versus us doing something for ourselves and creating the cause. Like, the cause and effect factor is we're supposed to be the cause that creates the effect. And that's very difficult to do. I think because you got to look for it, you got to be aware of it, you got to understand it, you got to know how to do it. Understanding and knowing are two different things.
Absolutely.
And it's hard. I mean, doing this every day is hard. I don't get the same results out of the shower. I do it anyways.
Right.
Why? Because I know why I started, and I'm a man of my word, so I'm
going
to keep doing it. Right. It's that simple. Like, I don't need that excitement. I'm driven by something different, long-term effect. I've already done the short-term shit for way too long. Right. It never got me
playing the long game.
Right. You have to play the long game.
And I think this is where it comes back to the fact that we've always said this. This is, again, knowledge versus action is two different things. But you don't get what you want. And that's kind of what you want. You want that result. You want that benefit. You want this.
You want to feel better.
You want to feel better, but you get what you are. Right. So instead of trying to change and fix all this and doing something for this effect or doing something for this outcome, that's why we always say we got to focus on changing this. Like you just said, you don't do it for that anymore. You don't do it for that benefit or that effect. You do it because that's who you are. And you said you were going to do something. That's the commitment that you made.
I'm doing it because I know what I'm doing, and that's what matters. I'm telling my body and my brain to listen to me because I don't want to do it.
Yes.
So when I take control, that's what I'm doing. It's not about the cold water. It's about me forcing myself to do something that I really don't want to do at
Amen.
5 o'clock in the morning when it's 1 degree outside.
See, and we always say you get what you are, you don't get what you want. And I'm an asshole, so I get shit.
That's fair.
No, if you don't
that is fair.
If you don't like what you are, that's where you got to start doing these things. And that's what we saw about getting very uncomfortable. Get comfortable being very uncomfortable because I'm comfortable doing all the things that get me nowhere. I'm comfortable, like what you said, in the alleyway, shooting up in a bar, and I'm comfortable sleeping in. I'm comfortable not taking care of, I'm comfortable that pig is my spirit animal because I'm naturally.
Really doing anything is uncomfortable.
Anything that's productive. Anything that's good for you.
Isolation is very comfortable. And it's very sick. That's where the dogs start barking and having their way with you. That's where mental health.
Wait a minute. Whoa. The dogs have their way with you?
Not my dogs. These dogs. Like the dogs inside your head.
The demons. The demons in our heads that more often than not don't really exist, right?
I was somewhere bad.
You always do.
Yeah, my God.
And we're still a radio show, but you'll catch on.
I will. I'm a slow learner.
The comfort level that, if we're talking about like bad relationships, right? That's a big one.
All right.
Right. And we were actually talking about this last week where I get comfortable because, well, I know he hurts me, but I know he won't kill me. So it's okay. A black guy will heal. Well, then, he pays my bills. Like, you justify all these things because you just don't want to go get what you want in life because you're being provided for in some form or fashion by comfort. Because I know what this pain feels like, so I'm okay with living in it because it's predictable to me.
Yeah. Not only that is like it's going to be so much harder to get out of that situation and then have to do these things, all these multitude of things that you have to do in order to get yourself set up.
Well, it's fear of the unknown.
That's basically,
I know this. I'm used to this.
It's not that bad.
And even abuse, and this, as sick as this sounds, abuse is attention. Even abuse, and a lot of people that are abused, he abuses me, but he loves me. And some people don't know how to distinguish the difference. Some people, from backgrounds of abuse, they think that's what love is. So I'm here, I'm in this, it's what I'm known for however long. And to get out of it is that big abyss. That world of the unknown, to step out in fear, regardless of how bad this is. What's that going to be? And
that's just like with getting into recovery and coming out of a drug addiction, and the lifestyle that comes with that. Like, it's, you get comfortable being, and that's the thing. Like, that's why I always say that pain is the price of admission. And I don't mean just a little bit of pain. For me, my like you say this all the time. My threshold for pain is just immeasurable sometimes, right? So that's why it took me until 35 years of age, in and out of jail, in and out of prison, in and out of toxic relationships, hospitals, and all these, out of the streets, sleeping outside, all these things. But finally, there was a point where I had enough pain that I was willing to do whatever it took. I was willing to surrender, and that's the thing. I think it has to happen in anything. Like, you got to surrender and say, you know what? This isn't working for me anymore.
Yeah, but again, I'm going to push back on that too. It doesn't have to be.
No, you're right.
That's the point. That I'm comfortable in my life. I got plenty of money. I don't look at my bank account. I'm not filthy rich.
Go ahead and rub it in,
I just know how to live my life, right? Like, I have a great job. I got a great wife. We have a great relationship.
Chris is going to ask you for a loan after the show.
right? Like everything makes sense to me, but I still push. I still get uncomfortable. It doesn't have to be pain.
Okay. All right. So for me,
the problem is we then make a new comfort. Like, okay, well, I got out of that, and so now I'm good. And then you don't continue to grow. If you want to grow, measure yourself in 10 years. Who's my hero in 10 years? And you keep chasing that person. So you're never going to catch them, but you never stop chasing them.
And I think that's what Brian said at the beginning is complacency. Because we get complacent in the toxic lifestyle that we're in.
Right.
And then we get out of that toxic lifestyle into, let's just say, recovery, because I'm in recovery. That's what we talk about a lot. So you get into recovery, which is an incredible day and night change. You have to go through all kinds of things, and then you plateau, and then you get comfortable in that.
And now you think you got a grip on your addiction, right? Like,
and then,
like I've done this 100 times.
When it could happen in any area of our life.
Right.
It could happen in your job.
Right.
If what you're doing is good enough to pass the bar. Say you go into a company you bust your ass. You show up early, you stay late, you've got something to prove, you want to advance, you get a couple promotions. You're doing great. But are you doing your best? And when you went in, you was pushing yourself to your extremes. But at some point, I think it's human nature to do what is expected.
You get plateaued.
Yeah, it happens in fitness.
People don't like to be told what to do, but they do what they're told.
Yeah.
My wife said that to me once, and I was like,
wait.
I do what I'm told.
Shut up.
Like, it's just true.
He's like, I can't figure out anything. I'm not really sure if I could wrap my brain around that.
Well, I was thinking.
Am I supposed to say something?
I was just thinking when we come in here, Chris is like, where are you sitting? And I jokingly said, wherever I'm told. And I sat down right there. And then Marty came in and said, sit there. And I got up and sat. And so when you said they do what they're told, I just shut up. I hate all of you.
It's just a fact, right? And so people get to a comfort level. Right. And so I challenge everybody. You talked about this a couple of weeks ago. Maybe it was last week where it's like, you're happy making $40,000 a year because you get to go see your kids all the time. And that's great. I understand that. But are you genuinely happy?
That's what I was going to say.
You have bigger dreams. I guarantee it. And what are you teaching your children? That this is okay?
To settle.
And some would
a linear life form is just fine?
And some would even say that we have inherently in us from birth greatness in us.
Yeah.
So if we're not striving and pushing ourselves to that, is it possible that we're going to be happy? If we're not striving to fulfill our potential, then obviously there's something within us that's going to die. And I would think that a byfactor of that would be misery. Mm-hmm. So that would be my question to somebody that's, this is enough. And that's great if they are genuinely happy.
I'm sure there's people out there who are genuinely happy.
And it doesn't have nothing to do with the money.
No.
But it's
balance.
It's are you happy?
And there needs to be some. I get that.
But even to maintain that happiness requires some kind of push.
For sure.
Well, for me, guys, it's this. Like, and I think this is key to having a successful, and I don't mean monetary, a successful life. And successful to me means happy. It means joyful. It means content. But I think the key is finding a purpose. What is your purpose? If your purpose, and you feel that it's the right purpose that God give you, that your higher power giving you, that the universe is giving you, I think everybody has these gifts.
Which one is it, asshole?
You decide.
No.
All of them.
You decide, right? I'll leave that open to you. But I think we're all blessed.
Crazy that you had to list all three of those. Can't they all just...
Well, if I do that, if I don't do that, somebody gets offended. Somebody's going to get offended. Like
You're
he said
so
the word
2022.
Well,
Thought you was talking hard, you sensitive pansy.
And here's the thing: is I'm good with it. Like it's God to me. It doesn't have to be to you. Well, I'm cool with that. You can live in that space. That's not my cross to bear, right? Like that's not my problem. And I'm not saying it's yours. If you believe it's not a problem, cool, live your life.
Well, for me,
if you're really trying not to offend anybody, you need to make a longer list. Universe, higher power, God. Woo, let me tell you.
There's more. There's so much more. For me, it's the universe, right? It's the universe. It's as above, so below, all things connected with that. But back to my point is we're all inept with a gift. A gift. Something in us was given by Buddha, for all I give a shit, right? Something in us was given, right? And it's something that we're naturally good at. It's something that we don't have to strive too hard to be good at. It's not, it's not something we have to work for or grind for or anything. We have a gift. And I think life is the ability to find that purpose, that gift, and then go after it and really hone it in and really like that. If you can do your job, a job that is in line with your purpose. And I think your purpose could be to be a father, for all I care. It might just be what you're inept to do.
If you got kids, you better freaking hope so.
Well, not only that, you better provide too. So you better find another purpose. But, and I think once you can get in line with your purpose, like every day, like I haven't had a bad day I don't remember the last time because I feel like I'm in line.
I'm gonna challenge you again.
When he says he hasn't had a bad day in years, I take that like a personal challenge. I'm gonna bring one to you cocky
You bring
prick.
it, babe, because I live in the motto. It is what it is.
Absolutely,
because I'm dangerous.
From the outside looking in, I've seen him have several bad days.
I have bad moments. I do, but go ahead. What's your challenge?
I'm gonna challenge you.
Here he goes.
I don't care what talent you have, you still got to work for it because you need to take it and move with it, right? It's like basketball players aren't just naturally that good. They learned that they had a passion for it and then had to grow to become professional level. So what I think we're on just different pages in communicating this is what you want, right? Like you have a purpose in life. I feel like my purpose in life is helping people.
I think that's everybody's purpose.
But damn it, if I don't have to work towards it, well, what I mean by that is like I have different connections with people than a lot of people have because of like an empath or some people just don't like people. Like that's just a fact of some people.
You have different gifts.
But I've had to work a lot for it, right? Like
absolutely.
I'm reading books that I don't really want to read, and Marty just.
I think everybody's saying the same thing.
Yeah,
it all makes sense. Absolutely, you got to work on your gifts and your talents. And
first thing is becoming aware of what it is.
Yeah.
What is it
pattern recognition?
What
we
is
talked
it?
about this.
Yes.
You got to be aware of the patterns. If something keeps coming up in your life that you keep finding yourself drawn to,
that's it.
Like
that's
I said, I was drawn to the life coaching thing before it was ever even a thing. This was like 15 years ago. Somebody mentioned it, and I was like, yeah, I get that. Like, you got to go through it before you can teach it, and I've been through it, and even more since then, right? So,
I think,
but it kept coming back.
I think the unhappiness is going after things that's not for you.
Well, because we're chasing the Joneses most of the time.
Most of the time, you're right. It's going after, and it comes back to that complacency thing. It's like you're doing this, and you got everything's everything's working out. Like you're providing for your family. You're going to job 9 to 5. You're home on the weekends for your kids. You're home in the evenings for your kids, and that's all great. But I'm just agreeing with you that if you're not living your life in purpose, eventually the complacency is going to set in, the misery eventually, you're going to find yourself not happy, not joyful. And that's the thing, becoming aware of your purpose and then hyper focusing on that. Quit worrying about shit you're not good at. Quit trying to fix things that you're absolutely not good at and you've tried a few times. It just, you don't like it. It's just nasty to you and you hyper focus on what you're good at. Forget about the rest.
That's how I feel about when things break down around the house.
I don't know what I don't know what he would do without his wife.
Yeah,
I'm blessed. You do that while I focus on my purpose.
She's like, babe, the refrigerator went out. Not my thing.
Let me put this. It's not
my thing. Grab that shit and get it out of here.
I got an app for that.
I would call somebody. Absolutely. Why am I? No way. Let me save everybody.
No way.
Let me save everybody the trouble of me trying to figure this out. It's just don't look good. Let me put this spin on the conversation.
Okay.
If there's Martin Luther King Jr. said there's no greater purpose in life than to be of service to another human being.
Amen.
Yep.
If we were all created to serve other human beings, like I didn't know things about myself until we opened Truman and I got put in a position of leadership, pouring into men, and started saying yes because I was told to say yes. I started serving people, and that's where I found out that I had gifts for it.
Yeah.
But here's the catcher.
I got to say this real quick. Don't forget your words. Truman House. What is a Truman House?
recovery homes for men in Terre Haute, Indiana.
So we have 5 recovery homes in Terre Haute, Indiana for men in recovery homes. We also work in treatment, and this is why we talk about recovery a lot. Because if you or a loved one is struggling with addiction or alcoholism of any sort, you guys can message us. What is the email they could message us at?
It should be fans@talkhardfans.com.
Fans@talkhardfans.com, and it's right down there. Chris is going to put it in the link.
I will
Go ahead.
verify for you.
So if we're all created to serve other people, but we all have different gifts and talents, like if you think about it, it doesn't matter if you're a barber, like we talked about earlier, or if you build an honest, hardworking lawn company, but your goal is to go above and beyond to serve your customers. You do fair prices. You show up early, stay late. You do it really wonderfully well, and you get joy from it, and you bring joy to your customers. Then that's your gift.
That's good. Yeah.
Nobody knows what it is. But here's the thing. Here's the kicker about it, because you can start off serving people with the right motives, and then somewhere down the line, the motives switch.
And
You lose track
a lot of people.
Yeah. Absolutely. And my theory, because I'm a Christian, and I do believe, not only because the Bible says this, but through my own life research, when you have these horrible tragedies and you track them, usually if you go back far enough, it's the love of money. I'm not talking about, I'm talking about the love, to where money becomes an idol. So, and a lot of people, if they're not nurturing their gifts and their talents or chasing their dreams, why are they working? They're working because they have to pay their bills,
right?
And, try to be a good father or do what society says you have to do, but they're not getting no fulfillment because they're not serving others. That's all they're chasing, is that money.
Right.
And sometimes
most of the people that are doing that are broke.
Yeah.
Well, you could be broke and still in this scenario.
But no, what I mean is, it's just it's just a mindset that we're talking about.
Yeah.
I'm saying most of the people that are doing that, when you chase money, you'll never have enough. Your values switch, the things you want switch. Now I have enough for this car. Now I have enough for this car. It's the same paycheck to paycheck. It's just a different thing in front of you at that moment in time.
Yeah.
Versus if your ultimate goal is to learn something and then give it back. When you add value to someone, money's the byproduct.
Yeah. And that's just and it seems like a giant leap, but it's the difference between selfish and selfless. It's really, it's your perspective in it. But are you doing it? Are you doing it for selfish ambition? It's one of those things where I'm giving to somebody in front of the whole room, so everybody sees me.
The Bible says, "Don't let your right hand know what your left hand does." Right?
There can be balance in that. Like, I selfishly learn as much as I can, and I sacrifice time from other things because selfishly I want to learn. Selflessly, I give it away.
Yeah.
So there's balance in it. Sometimes you have to be selfish, right? Sometimes you have to learn how to sacrifice, because I'm not going to sacrifice my happiness to try and make you happy, because I can't.
Yeah.
That's not my job.
I don't necessarily call that selfishness, though. That's self-preservation. That's just...
okay.
That's a can't pour from an empty cup. And if you're studying to learn because you have a desire to teach, then your motives aren't selfish. Like me...
Yeah, you have to. If you have to cut yourself off from certain people and become incredibly, we'll just use this word for in this term, is you become incredibly selfish because you don't want to be around these certain people, or you don't want to partake in what they're doing because you're being selfish right now in order to preserve you. But your motive is you're doing it as well. Your motive is to learn, to gain, to make these gains in your life so that you can help other people, can do for other people, can show other people that there's a way.
Right, I just don't want to shun the phrase selfish.
Right, but
sometimes it's semantics, right? We're just putting words on shit.
You're
That's
right.
really what we're doing in theory, right? But what I'm saying is like, some people will take that to the extreme because a selfish person is an arrogant asshole and all these things. That person is just trying to add value to them so they can give it to someone else, and you don't understand that, so you're thinking they're a selfish asshole.
And then
you're viewing me as selfish, when in reality, I'm saying you're right, but it's not because of what you're feeling. Your feelings aren't my problem. You think I'm a selfish asshole, when in reality, I'm being selfish for me so I can give back to many.
So intention. It's all about intention.
Right? Yeah, absolutely. Again, it's the context in which we put words into, right? I think that's one of the biggest problems we have in the world today, is the context in which words are communicated, and how we've labeled and leveled everything to put superiority or lack thereof in all these things. And my whole philosophy in life is simplify, analyze, execute. Just keep it simple, stupid, right? Kiss, keep it simple, stupid. And I know I'm not allowed to say stupid, then you're stupid. So this is just reality, right? Like, come on. If you're offended by that, then pick up a book.
That's the shit I got told.
I don't even know who you are, and you think
if you're offended by that, the sad truth of it is you're offended by a lot of things.
Right. Well, that's the thing too. I got told that several times. Keep it simple, stupid. When I was in early recovery, like it's pushed on you. You have to be selfish. You have to push people away. You have to cut your family members off. You can't. You know what? You can't be a father right now. You're going to have to be selfish and push your kids away and push your wife away, push your husband away because it's time to work on you. So you're going to have to be selfish. And in the eyes of them, that seems selfish.
Right.
But you're doing it for your intentions are to be selfish, to learn, to grow, to acquire, to do these things so that I can be selfless again and be a good father, be a good husband.
And not again, maybe for the first time.
For the first time.
That's just it. From their perspective, it feels selfish.
Like, how dare you?
It's actually the only decent thing you can do because if you're like me, when you got into the tables of recovery, into the rooms of recovery, I had nothing to give anybody. I was a parasite. I was a leech. I didn't have nothing to offer my daughter, my mother, anything to offer to the human race. So for me to step back away from all that and work on what was wrong on the inside was really the only thing selfless I could do.
Right. And it's imperative that you do that. You know what I mean? It is. It's imperative that we take that time because there's so many people just like you. And I know I was the same. We get sober, we get in recovery. We got 10 days, we got 30 days, we got 90 days in recovery. And all of a sudden we want to start being a father again or a husband again or a wife again. Right. And and just like you said, pouring from an empty cup is what we would be doing at that point because it's all frivolous. Like, I want to be a father. Bro, you have no idea how to do that yet. Only thing that you're doing is wanting something to make you feel better. I want to feel better, so I need my kids in my life to make me feel better. No, that's selfish. Yeah. That's a selfish mindset. Like, because you don't deserve it, by the way. You just been using drugs for the last 10 years. You've been in and out of jails and hospitals and not there for your kids. You're going to take a little time. You're going to take a little time, disconnect from all that, and we're going to work on you so that when you do come back around, you have the tools that's necessary to become a father, to become a mother.
Again, to me, that goes way. We were talking about this again last week. I think addiction is way deeper. Is way deeper than the drugs, the alcohol, and basic things. Yes. With work addictions, with attention addictions, with a lot of other things where you're using the outside world to fulfill something inside. Absolutely. Because you have something going on inside of you that you need to fix. My biggest solution with my addiction was I stopped battling the bullshit that was going on outside of me, the drugs, everything I was blaming, and I started battling what was really going on in here. Like, why do I feel this way, right? Do these demons really exist? Okay, prove it, right? Like, again, I'm the worst case scenario. You look at my wife, and I think you want to f her. Excuse my language, but that's where my mindset was, right? Like, I'm insecure in that way because I'm just imagining the worst case scenario because it's happened to me. Yeah. Like, I've met a dude who later I caught with my chick and thought I was meeting her friend at the time.
Not his current wife, by the way.
No, definitely not my current wife.
Disclaimer.
Right? What I'm saying is it's happened to me in the past with other experiences. This is when it came to my wife, and that is now my all. It's scary.
Well, you came with baggage.
So, and I came with a lot of baggage, but she knew it, and I put it up there from the front. We've talked about that too. But my point is like...
It was carry-on luggage.
Hell no. It was checked bags and I left them at the airport. So going just past addiction, right? Going into just like base level, if you want to call it that, this is just semantics, people. Like if you're listening and you're not struggling with addiction, but you're still struggling with these things.
Everybody's got addiction of some sort.
Looking outside of you for something. Like there's a psychologist out there I've been watching a lot about that is speaking a lot about you don't know what's best for your kids. You understand what might get them into trouble, but you don't know what's best for them. There's a lot of parents that make their kids do sports, that make their kids do things, and they don't understand because
them beauty pageant
things.
It's
best for them, right? God. Like I'm teaching them how to grow. I know what's best. No, you don't. You don't know what your kid is going through, and you've never allowed the space for them to speak to you in the way that they want. Like, let your kids explore. Let your kids try different sports or no sports at all.
So you're saying I should let them out of the closet?
Yes.
They've been in there for a week.
Just a couple of times.
Disclaimer, that's not the truth.
Just a couple of times.
Disclaimer, everyone. No, but what about these beauty pageant moms and dads. Oh my God.
It's on the extreme on every level,
That's
right? Because
extreme.
we need to provide structure. Lady or dude, you have no structure in your own life. You're not providing your child with anything. You need to provide for you. And again, just like adding value, the byproduct of that is going to be your kid will understand that based on what they see, not what you force them to do.
Yeah,
I think
kids learn like 70% of what they learn from watching their parents.
Right.
Not from told, not from being told.
Yeah.
No.
And I think to be like my son just recently moved in with me. He's 15, and I wanted to put.
He's in the closet.
No, literally, like I want him to have the ability and the opportunities to try about everything. You know, I want to get him in. We're going to try jiu-jitsu, right? We're going to get him into that. If you know, a month down the road, it's just not what he. You know, you're going to know pretty quickly if you get him in that class and they start. Oh man, you come home and they're excited.
So my question is, was this his idea?
No. These are my ideas, right? I'm offering ideas to him. I was like, "What do you think about this?"
What are his ideas?
He's like, I offer the idea, like, hey, man, it's wintertime. There's no basketball. There's no football. There's no this and that because he loves sports. Mm-hmm. I said, well, it's wintertime. Why don't we want to try jiu-jitsu? He's like, okay, yeah, we'll give it a shot.
He likes the idea of being able to kick your ass.
And I like jiu-jitsu because it's a lot to do with discipline. It's a lot to do with mindset. You know?
So again, I'm going to challenge you as a dad, and in a different instance, how about what would you like to do?
And that was the conversation, okay. But I think that's
Did
it.
You just
though.
Say I don't know.
I think that's it though. Is offering like because a child will just sit there and just a child will just sit there and be like, oh. So you say no. Hey, you want to do piano lessons? You want to do ballerina? You want to do jiu-jitsu? You want to do karate? You know, I want to be able to have him to know that he has opportunities. Like, well, I never really thought about doing that. I've never thought about doing that because really all kids think about doing is what the school would offer, right? You know, and what they're programmed. Like everybody's got to play football. You got to cheerleader. You got to do this. Well, okay, we can think outside the box. We have all these other opportunities out here. We got all these other courses and classes you can take and do. You want to take up woodworking. You want to whittle a stick into a boat
out of beech wood.
Let's do it.
Any of the stuff
I just want you to try things. Like I feel like a lot of the talent that's going on in the world, the 20-somethings, 30-something year olds, is kids that have tried 100 different things and found something and like, holy shit, I love this. This is great.
Well, what if, hypothetically speaking,
you can't put your kids in the closet? You just can't.
Well, say you open the closet door and yell, "What is it you want to do?" And they say, "Play video games."
Okay.
You shut the door.
Ask them why. My question would be why. Like, what is it doing for your life? Like, why? Because you want to escape reality? Like, if you're trying to play a video game because that is your genuine passion, there are kids out there that are making stupid money and loving their lives and genuinely.
Absolutely.
Like, if you look at video
games. Very rare.
I'm not saying it's not rare, but I'm saying it doesn't matter if it's rare or not. The rare people are the elite, right? Meaning the people that have understood their passion and gone for it. And the only way, now if they think it's their passion, again, we're talking about variables. Explain it to me. Like, let's have a conversation. Well, my point to this is when something is suggested to you from a parental figure, it's often accepted. You want to try? Sure.
There's a little pressure too. It's like, hey, I kind of want you to do this, and I want you to give it a shot.
I suggested the closet, and I have to be honest, I had to drag them kicking and screaming. Well, they were not going.
And I like your because again, I think a lot of parents fail in thinking that their kid is underneath them, and they don't. Because we talk about open lines of communication in relationships. Communication is going to settle a lot of your problems in any type of relationship that you have, whether it be a work relationship, a friendship, a
Does this mean from now on you're going to answer when I text you? Yeah, asshole.
No.
I prioritize all texting, and no, but I think
he's meditating. 35
I'm in the
times
shower.
You
having that communication though.
You just told the whole world that I'm not a priority to you. How is that healthy communicating to your best friend?
Listen,
now,
bro.
You're
know
a
the
freaking
truth.
hypocrite.
At least you have the truth.
God.
No, I want to put this in context because you know how the screen pops up with the first part of the sentence and it says something about investing in bully dogs. And I'm like, that's not really a priority for me.
You read that one? You read that one?
Oh, what was the next one then?
I don't know. It was a picture or something.
It was a picture of dogs.
No, it was a picture of us. He's such a jerk. This relationship's over.
I'm glad we're finally communicating.
Yes, here we go.
It was a Facebook memory, you son of a bitch.
So, no, my point to this
God
is...
love you.
You're talking about open forms of communication.
Yeah.
So, like you said, it was like, no, I selfishly want him to try it. Mm-hmm. Right? Mm-hmm. Not saying that's a bad thing, but I wouldn't say that's a good thing. That's just my personal opinion.
Yeah, but your opinion doesn't matter right now.
See?
Because you're going against me.
Because I would instead challenge him to find something that he wants to do rather than suggest it.
Or pay him to go.
Pretty much do.
Definitely going in the wrong direction.
I'm playing the devil's advocate. My kids aren't in the closet. Come on, guys.
See, my son is very into video games. He's very he's good at it. And he has such a passion for it. Like, he could be probably one of those kids that gets paid a lot of money to play video games, right? But I want him to broaden I want him to do other things too. Do I help him video game? Absolutely. Do I buy his stuff? Yes. Do I allow him to do it? Yes.
I heard you can learn jiu-jitsu in the metaverse.
Yeah. So in this world, my conversation would be, if video games disappeared tomorrow, what would you do?
That's a good conversation.
YouTube too. I'm just thinking what my boys would say.
I would watch people play video games.
That's fair.
To the extreme, but I'm being a little bit realist.
We'll go all the way to the extreme. What if we lost Wi-Fi, internet, computers?
I'm seriously contemplating doing that experiment in my house just to watch them squirm.
What if because it could happen, right? And then what do you have, right? We were so dependent on technology. Yeah. What happens when it fails? Because it can, and as people have seen it, it will in a lot of occasions.
Then you got nowhere to send your kids when they're bouncing off the wall and, hey, Dad, hey, what, hey, what, hey, what?
What are you talking about? You send them outside.
So here, wait a minute. So here's really the downfall.
YouTube is our nanny.
I was going to say, here's the downfall. Not only
Don't
are
you judge
kids,
me like you're on some kind
no,
of
I get it.
pedestal.
Listen, I had my grandkids last night, right? So, and they got them little, I don't know.
iPads.
Tablets. They're little Nintendo deals, whatever they are.
I just want to say one thing real quick, Grandpa Marty. That's it.
Thank you.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm a grandpa. I'm a grandpappy. Okay. But anyways,
go ahead. So you had your grandkids last night. Yep.
You will be too one day.
No, I don't know how many kids.
Your wife has kids.
She's gonna be grandma. I'm still gonna be stepdad.
So you'll be married to a grandma.
Have you asked the kids if that's what they want?
Yeah, have you bothered to even ask your kids?
Communication, man.
Like, hey, do you want to be born yet? I mean,
I haven't met them.
You're looking at your privates.
I mean, they might be out there. I just haven't met them yet.
So, the one thing they came in and had those things in their hands, and they were just like, "Where the Wi-Fi isn't on," and like they were like in their head losing their shit. I'm like, I was like, "No, when I was a kid, we didn't have Wi-Fi," and they looked at me like I had punched Santa Claus. They were just like, "What?"
Yeah.
But I mean, if you want to see it, they don't know any different. No. So that is the end of the world to them because they've never had any other form of entertainment.
Because we do that in our house, sometimes just randomly and sometimes as a form of punishment. No Xbox, no YouTube. And if you want to see a child of today's age get uncomfortable, as we was talking about, remove that. They literally, their motor skills, they lose it. They don't know what to do.
I think if I could start over as a parent, you would have X amount of time per day on Wi-Fi of any sort.
What we're doing now is you have to earn it.
That's what my dad did.
I like that.
AOL was a big thing when I was like 15. I'm dead serious.
Dude, I'm talking dial-up. Okay, grandpappy. You should be a grandpa.
This is how I learned how to type. I was getting on those chat rooms and being a little 15-year-old pimp. Not even going to lie. I could talk to 7 different women at once and none of them knew what was going on. It was amazing. So
he's sitting naked. Hey, he's 15-year-old sitting naked in a beanbag chair with Cheetos all over him.
Yes.
By the way.
Well, no, I was still in a normal chair because the beanbag the cord wasn't long enough. We didn't have wireless yet, right? So I'm talking like hard cord.
Yeah.
You could like hear
still naked with Cheetos.
Like it sounded like a machine gun going off as I'm clicking on this keyboard because that's how old this thing is. But point being, I had to earn it. And my punishment with no good grades and all these other things was, that was my way to reach the outside world without having a license, and my brothers wouldn't take me anywhere. So my way to outside world besides my friends that were just in our little neighborhood was that. And so I did become addicted to it on many levels and was very good at it. I mean, very good at it. I really built, and I still have a lot of those friends today. That's the crazy part. We had this Orange County chat room, and I probably still have 15 or 20 friends from that moment. That's because awesome. We all experienced like the growth of the internet together, and we one day were like, let's all have a party.
Let's go to MySpace.
The stupidest thing you could do.
Did I hear you just say you actually created Facebook?
No.
MySpace.
That's social
Clearly,
network.
I messed up the Facebook because I misunderstood it and wrote shit on my face. I had it all backwards the first time I heard it, but I was on a lot of drugs. That's my excuse. But it was a punishment. Like, you're cut off.
Yeah.
And it existed further. You're cut off from AOL and the outside to your bedroom, right? But that instilled like a line in the sand for me where I had to understand that this was a privilege, not a right. It is not my right.
The world works on punishment and reward.
Yeah.
I mean, consequences. Your negative behaviors will have consequences if you don't take care of if you don't take the trash out, if you don't, and good behavior.
I think the problem here is, I was trying to get on the topic earlier. The problem here is, like, we talk about these kids who are spending their life on YouTube or video games, but the real problem is the parents who don't want to spend time with their kids. And so, like, here, just take this and go. Yeah. Take this Nintendo Switch and go upstairs. Go. And that's what it is. That's where it boils down to, and saying, here, give me the Nintendo Switch.
Get in your closet.
Without the Nintendo Switch.
Right. They don't want them making a mess in the house,
cruel.
right? Like, now you're not making messes in the house with your Lincoln Logs and all these other fun things that we had. Like, I learned how to build a damn house when I was 5 years old.
Tonka trunks.
But they were everywhere, right? And so when I hear a parent say that, I'm like, then make them clean it up.
Yeah.
That's what comes after playing with your stuff. You clean it up.
I love that stuff, but I have to be a realist. Like, kids today, probably because of all the digital advancements, like, when you take the electronics away, it's not like they start, let's get out the Legos, and they start being creative and playing with their toys like we used to. The creativity and make-believe part's just not there. So generally, if you take away the YouTube and the Nintendo, what you hear is, stop! Would you stop touching me? Would you stop touching me? Dad! Would you stop touching me? I wouldn't sit there.
Well,
Dad!
What do they have access to?
Huh? And here's the dad.
They have access to any other...
And here's the dad saying, you know what? I'm not putting up with this shit. Take the Nintendo back. I'm done.
No, I'm old school. It's go outside. But it's cold. I don't care. I need my jacket. Get outside.
It's not cold when you run, right?
Wear a coat. No, you don't. We're not getting a coat.
It's only cold because you're not
Wear
moving.
your Nintendo.
I will be realistic. We just did this yesterday. We got a whole truckload of pea gravel to put into the dog kennels in the back, and it was dumped out, and it needs spread around. So I did the majority of it, but before it was done...
Wait. You did?
Yeah, me and Sam.
Okay, Sam did.
And then I looked at her, and I said, I feel like we're cheating the boys if we don't at least let them be a part of this. And we both agreed, so we left them out there. So I sent our 3 children out there to go and spread pea gravel around. Mm-hmm. I looked out about 15 minutes later, and it was pretty cold yesterday. 2 of them.
He's got them out there with no coats.
Well, no, listen, no, they have their snow outfits on, but I look out, and there's 2 kids sitting on the ground without their shoes and socks, and the other kid has got not a shovel, but a pooper scooper, scooping up pea gravel and winging it at the other one's face. And I'm just like, they were doing everything except for completing the task at hand. Right. I went out there and showed them the proper way to do it. Come back in, same thing. And when they came in, there's 4 pairs of socks in my dog kennel right now. Okay. And somehow they ended up barefoot. It looked like there was...
Well, there's only 3 kids. How is there 4 pairs of socks?
That's a good question.
There was some kid buried in the pea gravel.
2 pairs of socks on.
There's a kid buried in the kennel under the pea gravel right now.
Sometimes the neighbor kids come over and
throw their socks.
End up in the closet accidentally. It's like, get in there.
I want a disclaimer again. He does not put kids in the closet. I promise you.
Everything have to have a disclaimer.
Welcome to American society where everybody's...
I'm going to be the logical person here.
Oh,
because
here we go.
Clearly... everywhere.
We are.
But I'm going to do it anyways. And it's all good. But what I'm saying is, so you showed them and they said they understood.
Yep.
That doesn't mean they know how to do it.
Yep.
Right? The way I train people is First, I do, and you watch.
This is coming from a man who has no kids, by the way.
I'm sending him over. He's going to get a crack course.
You don't have to have kids to know how the psychology behind it works,
my
right?
God.
Like,
Listen, you take the shovel, scoop, throw it.
Understood. Understood. Now, to you, that seems simple. To a 7-year-old, that may seem boring and
12, 10, and 9.
Okay, 12, 10, and 9-year-old.
Look at his face. Look at his face. Like, bro, they are 12.
They got it. They
How?
understood.
Hold on.
it.
And I'm not saying they did it, but then you just left. Maybe they wanted to do it with you.
Oh, this guy right
Like,
here.
you see what I'm saying? Like, there's more to it.
Brian's going to kill
rather
you.
than just no, and I'm not being a
He's
dick
coming. Look at his
intentionally.
face. He wants to come at you right
I'm
now.
not trying to be a dick. I'm trying to say, like, my dad had to teach me how to. Well, he didn't teach me how to ride a bike, but he had to teach me how to do a lot of other things. I was a stubborn little prick that hated my training wheels, so I learned how to ride by myself. I went out there.
I absolutely knew that about you.
So
I knew
but
that.
on a lot of things, my dad had to be very involved, right? And that was the joy. It was like, yeah, my dad could tell me how to change the alternator belt. I didn't give a shit.
Absolutely.
I wanted to do it with me, and I don't care if it's pea gravel. That's part of the experience.
Oh,
Giving them something
kind
to
of
do
got you there, Brian.
is part of doing it with them.
He has a point.
He does.
has a point.
Then when you ask them to do it next time, they understand why, and they have a different memory attached to it.
I still don't think they didn't understand.
No, they understood.
Yeah.
They understood for sure, but they're not interested.
Yeah. But here's the thing.
No. We gotta marinate on that.
They're throwing a fit. They're arguing, fighting. They're not doing their chores to the point where Dad says, go outside and do this. And then I need to go out there and give them a super positive memory with their punishment.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm not having kids.
So, just so everybody who's thinking about having kids,
Looking for his receipt right now. What's a return policy?
No, what you're saying is very valid. It is.
That's what I'm saying is what's missing today in a lot of aspects is like what we had, and I don't know your relationship with your parents, and so I may just be assuming.
I didn't have it.
Like, so, and again,
Right.
which is technically, my dad worked a lot. Like, I didn't have a relationship with him the way I do now until much later in life. He worked 24/7 to provide for us a lot of times as a drug dealer until he got busted, and then it became something different. But he was not around is the point, right? And my mom was trying to help him all the time, so she wasn't around. So I learned a lot of what I was doing out with all the other neighborhood kids, which doesn't exist today. So in the absence of that, as fathers, not me, but if I were, I would be involved in that. Like what I do with my stepson.
How do you keep excluding yourself from this?
Well, I have a stepson, so I do help. And so when he wants to
that's a
change the
father.
oil, right? It's like a father by adoption.
Yeah, but
Like,
also
not the real kid.
His stepson's 18 as well, too, right?
He's 20 now,
sorry.
yeah.
So it's a little, he didn't get a chance
It is
to
different,
actually
right? Yeah, he
raise
was
him.
older when I met him, but the
Is
point
he
is
off
like
the chain? Because you keep trying to not take credit.
he's a great kid. I just like I didn't raise him, so I can't like I will never see myself as a fatherly figure to him because I did not raise him.
I bet.
I will never take that away from my wife
Right.
because she put in some hard work, and I will never take that from her.
Gotcha.
In any level, regardless
You're
of what
a
I
good
think.
dude.
Ain't he, though? Ain't he?
But in the absence of what we missed out as kids, you have to be that, right? For them to understand even how. Like, sure,
You're
you could
just
explain
creating
it to them.
a shit ton of work for me.
I understand that, which is the point of growth, right? As we were talking about earlier, it's uncomfortable. And you're not gonna
Wait.
do it.
I just had an epiphany, maybe almost an awakening. I bet you there's a YouTube video on how to shovel pea
Nope.
Here, kids, watch. Here's your Nintendo
We're shutting
Switch.
off your YouTube. I'm gonna go cut the damn. You're gonna lose all power, and you're gonna have to like learn how to make a fire in your house without burning the house down.
I think me and Kendrick's been talking about like living off, I am about 4 steps away from just totally shutting down and living off the grid anyway. So the shit that's going on these social medias and the news and society, it's just like, man, I would rather just live in the woods with no internet, a garden, some chickens, maybe even a spirit animal, a pig, you know? What good is a pig though? I need a goat. I want some milk.
See, and I love the challenge of all this chaos because I used to live in a world where chaos like ruined me, and now I'm driven by it.
I get it.
So I'm driven by all the madness that's going on with the media and all the people fighting and all the stuff. I'm like, that's all. Yeah, you guys have fun. I'm cool. Yeah. It's going on at work right now. There's a lot of chaos, and people keep coming at me with different things, and I just kind of,
I get that too.
Okay. Now, let's think about the possible solution to that rather than let's just yell the problems, right? So I'm living my life like that because that's what makes sense for me. I'm not saying it makes sense for everybody, but it works for me. Right. So I live that way.
Inside my bubble.
Right. It's just like, it's about what works for me because at the end of the day, I only get to answer to me.
Right.
And I'm the only person that can make me happy. And since I can't let somebody else try to make me happy unless I make myself happy, I got to be responsible for me at all times. And all this crap out here can get me very outside myself very fast. And don't get me wrong, I get caught up in the news sometimes where my wife will just grab the remote and turn it off.
Yeah.
She's like,
I get
fired
that.
up, right? And she gets
that.
it. And I'm like, yeah, sometimes I'm not perfect by any stretch of the imagination.
It's easy.
It's a moment in time, though, not I live my life like that.
It's really easy to get detoured sometimes if you get, because I don't watch. I truth be told, I don't pay a lot of attention to what's going on in the world. I catch something on, I hear my news. I get the news results from like a Facebook
there's
scroll.
Some, and I agree with this too. Like I don't have the news apps and stuff like that, but there's some stuff. It doesn't matter how much in your bubble you stay when you're told you have to wear a mask here and you have to get tested here. And there's a lot of stuff that's going on today that affects everybody. And I feel like it's moving a direction where there's going to be more and more. To eventually, you're going to have to make a choice. You're either going to be part of, or you're going to have to step out.
Well, and there's a lot of good stuff going on right now. People are, we the people, are, and this is the thing. I think, and this is
don't you put me in the same category as you.
This is teetering on, what I can talk about and what I can't. But I think that, I think the powers to be, the people who run the world, not just this country, would have done their move a long time ago had it not been for we the people and the rights and the Second Amendment and whatnot, because they know that Americans are going to fight back eventually. We're going to have enough of the
Half
BS.
of us anyway.
Well, if you go into Tony Robbins,
but we're eventually going to have enough, and we're going to stand up. And there's a movement happening that I don't know too much about, but the truckers do. They're getting ready to do that. I don't even know what it's like. I've seen glimpses of it, or they're going to shut down and not operate, right?
So,
and that's going to be
this book.
And I really feel like what they did to the nurses. And people in the medical field about mandates and making them like that.
If the truckers shut down, they're going to have to replace them quickly because it'll shut down our economy.
Exactly. And the same with the nurses. If the nurses would have all stood up, because so many nurses got fired, so many nurses were against it, and so many nurses took the vaccine even though they were against it. If they would have stood up and said, you know what, we're not doing it, because we didn't make them take vaccines. They were on the front lines the whole time. And then we're going to disrespect them by saying, all right, now, look, if you want to take vaccines, awesome. That's your right. Do it. Do it twice. Do it 14 times. I don't care. But there are people who are totally against it, and they were forced to take it. And I think that that's wrong, Well, and if everybody would have stood up. They were
still given the option to keep their job or take it. That's not forced because you can quit your job. So I still disagree with the word force because
you're going to quit, but you've spent X amount of years.
It's still not a force.
No, and I agree.
You can always go get another job.
You can't get a nursing job. Something you went to school for X amount of years. Like you've been a registered nurse your whole life. What are you going to do?
Then that wasn't your breaking point. Then you were conforming because it made sense to you, not you were forced.
There is force.
Stick a needle in your arm.
There is a level of force when it comes to taking care of your family. Like I am the only provider. I'm a registered nurse, right? And I have to keep a job in order to keep my son and my daughter fed.
And so
I could quit.
So the lady that works at Walmart can't take care of her kids?
Not as well as a nurse can.
Well financially?
Yes.
Now we're just talking about the level of what kind of stuff you want.
You just spent the last 10 years of your life.
I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just saying there are always other options, period.
Hey, do we need
But where does it stop?
Hey, do we need to...
Where does it stop?
We're going to fight about it.
There's something deeper.
No. Where does it, if they force these things on nurses and the healthcare field and nobody stops it, where does it stop? It's going to keep going. It's going to keep going.
It goes as far as we allow it to.
And that's my point.
That's why. That's
my point. Is like you
in
can't
the woods.
Force me to do anything.
You can force me into the woods.
Yes. I don't want to hear about your past and your crazy honey experience on the bear tree.
Woo, that was rough. Methamphetamines and bear hunting.
That don't count. We're talking about
Hashtag that, Chris.
We're not talking about some meth-induced psychosis running out in the woods with no tents. We're talking about very planned, strategical, detached self-sufficiency, off-the-grid living.
Could you do it, Brian?
Yes.
Could you?
Yep.
Yeah, I don't think you realize how. I don't think I do either.
Well, I'm not saying. I mean,
well, here's my problem with it.
Could you do it? Could you throw me out in the middle of the woods with nothing now and me have the knowledge?
That's different, yeah.
But with the books and the help and a group of people
and some time,
right?
But here's the other thing too. Is like I don't believe how addicted I am, and I don't just mean my phone. The phone's one thing. That's your life source. That's where you can get all your knowledge and you can learn and you can grow. I'm not talking about just the phone. I'm talking about social media. I don't know how attached, because I didn't know how attached I was until I did this morning routine thing where I had to put it over there and said, I'm not touching it. Right. Because everything in me is wanting to grab that phone and check something or look at something or just aimlessly scroll, and that's addiction. Like I have this thing inside of me that's just driving me to pick it up. And I have to literally several times in my morning, I have to say, no, I have to literally say it out loud. No, Marty, you're not doing it.
So your addiction just needs to shift. You have to become more addicted to this than you are to this, but you're an addict,
I'm working
whether
on
you
it.
like it or not.
I'm working on
right?
it.
You just have to shift your addiction.
It's not just you.
In order for it to understand.
You just described the majority
Everybody.
of society.
Which is why I am kind of doing this out here, and I keep talking about it. I keep bringing it up on the show. Is like, I know, like, if you are any less self-willed or you got less strength than me, like you're not going to make it. There's no, because it takes everything I got sometimes to tell myself out loud, thank God nobody's around in the morning, say, no, Marty, you're not touching the phone. And
just a heads, it's okay to mess up sometimes.
And I have. Okay. And I have. I literally have.
I'm messing up right now.
I'm just saying, like, I get what you're saying, but like, the mistakes are where we grow, right? So when you get back in the habit, but you're aware of it, and you're like, oh, dang it, like now I'm off course, I need to get back on course without beating yourself up to the point of feeling like failure. Failure only exists on the expectations we set.
Our mentality, though, here's what gets us. All or nothing. All in, doing it, one mistake, done.
Yeah,
all back
that's
in.
Bad, yeah.
That's bad. Like, just being aware and conscious, putting in an effort sets you apart from the masses.
And don't get me wrong, like, I have grabbed the phone. I have like, oh crap, what am I doing? I've done that, but I also try to rationalize it. I grab my phone and and social media is what's grabbing me. That's what's pulling me. Mm-hmm. It's not necessarily, but I'll grab my phone and I'm just looking at the text real quick. And then I'm like, okay, I'm on my phone, but I said I wasn't going to be on my phone, but I'm not on social media. But really social media is my problem. It's not the phone. You know what I mean? So I'll rationalize it, and then I'll look at those, and then I'll set it down.
Well, just a text message was the original form of social media. It was a different way for us to communicate, right? It's the same thing, just in different form. It's just
there's like four texts.
A whole different
Your
form,
text
for
message
sure.
didn't get approval and likes and views.
And that's what we're looking.
If it did, I'll bet text messaging would be way more addicting than they were.
If your text message got likes.
Right. Like if you could send out a mass text and have 15 people tell you they loved it, text messaging would be just as dangerous.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Because you're sharing a message and you want something back from it. And this is where most people have a problem. You're giving something out there and you want something from the outside world to make you feel a certain way when you need to figure out how to do that for yourself.
And
you do
so
that
many
through
things.
So many different ways.
Think about the awkward moments. Like I remember in Chicago, West Side Chicago, I got to a point where I didn't have a phone. So then when I was on the L train, it really stuck out to me how I got this 30-minute ride on the L train. It's so compact, you can barely move, and everybody's doing this. Mm-hmm. You go into the doctor's office, that awkward 15, 20 minutes where you're waiting. I bet you if you go back 50 years, there's conversations going on in the lobby. Anywhere where there's an awkward moment or somebody's around people that they don't know, rather than engaging in conversations with
from conversation to magazines, from magazines.
Hold on, I was just getting ready to say that. Like, holy shit!
You never get those. Like, there's always the same magazine.
Facebook started as a People magazine.
Yeah, but yes, it did, but it was nowhere near as. You would still look up, and I feel more likely to engage in conversation. They've done studies of conversations when people got their phone sitting right there, and they can prove that you're less engaged, less actively when you're just by seeing your phone, that you're only half listening and only half engaged because your phone's right there. Like, you got to think,
because you're doing this
it's a security
you're
blanket.
looking at it.
Like, I don't know what to say. I don't know you. I'm in a crowded place. I'm feel
awkward.
weird.
Yeah.
This is comfort. I know this. This is my people. I could do this, and I don't have to look you in the eye, and I don't have to talk.
That's so true.
Well, it's a
Like,
distraction
I just
that
want
makes you
everybody to
feel like
notice.
you're getting somewhere.
Yeah.
It's a distraction that feels like an accomplishment.
Like, sometimes when I'm driving down the highway, and I start to feel like say there's an accident, and the traffic's slowing down. Like, I could totally forget I'm driving and just go in.
And you look up and you got 200 feet in front of you.
It helps me drive.
Disclaimer. I just want to point out the fact that my phone is, crossing.
And you've been eyeballing it the entire podcast.
Have I?
Yes, his eye was the only one eye keeps twitching that way. It's weird.
Yeah.
So, real quick, I want to loop back around to something I was thinking about, but I've been working on active listening, so I didn't want to keep thinking about it. I just went on with the conversation.
Look at him.
Now that it's gotten back around to my head, when it comes to like the children and other things, and somebody mentioned this on probably a YouTube channel that I was watching, but it was like, if you needed to learn another language and I threw you in the other country with no translator, you'd learn that language real quick.
Yep.
But if I threw you out there with any crutch, you'd probably come back and have no idea how to speak the language. So when it comes to people, when we leave them no other option, this is what you do as a society. This is what we do. We know how to adapt, but we won't adapt when there are other options. Mm-hmm. So the biggest thing for me is I put myself in a position where I don't have a choice. That is the only option. Plan B is plan for failure. That's why Plan B is such a popular pill for other people, right? Like, it's the plan for failure.
Oh,
so when you have that backup plan,
you just let that one go. Shit, am I the only one that gets edited?
No, I'm sponsored by Plan B. Clearly, I have no children.
He's like, I got stock in Plan B, obviously.
I have pallets of these things in my house. But that's what I mean. Like, I learned a long time ago from a mentor, when you give yourself an exit plan, that's where you go.
Yeah, Plan B is failure.
There cannot be an exit.
You want to take the island, burn the boats.
Right.
Ooh.
That's exactly right. And then when we loop around to like talking about this stuff right now, I looked up the book. It's called, and this way other people can look it up. It is called For Principles for Dealing with the Change in the World Order, right? Or Changing the World. I think it's Changing the World Order. I got to zoom in on this. I'm old now at this point. Principles for Dealing with the Changing World Order.
Wait a minute,
it's an amazing
that's a
book.
long name for a book.
It's an amazing book, but what it talks about is the patterns, right? What is happening today is nothing new.
I agree.
This has happened multiple times in the world, in different countries, in different forms, in different fashions.
And how did it work out for them?
So they say history doesn't repeat itself, but it rhymes.
Okay.
Right? So it's not the same thing, but it has the same context to it. Like, it has a similar feel, but it's not the exact, right? Because history doesn't repeat itself. Lightning doesn't strike the same place twice, but it does strike a lot of places. So this philosophy behind this is nothing new. And if you really want to understand what's going on today and how to get ahead of it, you got to understand pattern recognition. So the key to success, according to Tony Robbins, is there's 3 different types of patterns. There's pattern recognition, there's pattern utilization, then there's pattern creation. So first you got to understand where the patterns are coming from, then you got to learn how to utilize them, and then you learn how to create them. And what society oftentimes doesn't do is learn how to create new patterns. And if we want to push back right now, we need to understand the pattern that's happening as a society and start to create a new pattern. But there's so much chaos going on, and all I can do is worry about my pattern, right? So I'm going to worry about creating my pattern.
If everybody did that.
And if people catch on, cool. If not my problem. I can't worry about it anymore, which is why when you're like, I want to go off the grid, I want to be right in the middle of the madness, because hopefully my pattern will inspire others to learn how to recognize their own patterns and do that for them. And so if I went off grid, I feel like I'm just giving up. So you'd be the one we
sent in to recruit people.
Yes.
To come live with
Back
us
to
on
the-
the continent.
I will. You can sponsor me. I just want a turkey, a chicken, and like a cow.
Done.
Every other month.
You had me at turkey.
Not at Thanksgiving. I just want it because
Here's the paper. I need you to sign this contract.
Right.
Yeah.
So this is what's happening right now, and what we fail to do is utilize the information that we have in front of us. Again, I learned all this crap because of this thing. There's just balance to it. And like we've spoke about before, the lack of balance, because with great power comes great responsibility. And this is probably one of the most, I'm holding my phone for those that aren't watching, powerful things that has ever happened to society.
Not social media, but he's not talking about social media.
No, I'm talking about just it in general.
Yes.
Like when I want to find a vehicle, I can go on Carvana.com, not sponsored, and they will send it to my house.
It could be, though.
We are lazy people in reality because we're all about efficiency.
There's the point. And that kind of ties it all together, because what that does is it allows us to stay comfortable. I don't have to go out to a restaurant and talk to people and put on my jacket. I can order whatever I want. It's quick. It's easy. But in my life, nothing that's quick and easy and comfortable and has positive results.
Except for food.
He's got a point. I mean, if you really look at a macro level, look at that. Like, there is many times that I want to go out to eat. I want to take my son out to eat. Maybe I want to take a girl or something. And I won't do that because I can order food at home.
It takes too long. It's too inconvenient.
We pay a lot of money for convenience, and really, you break that down, we pay a lot of money just to stay comfortable and complacent.
Instead of once a week going out to a movie theater with the whole family and having the whole movie experience, now we're renting movies every night, and I'm spending $120 a week on entertainment.
Right. No, I get it, but that's what I mean. It's like
no resentments.
I embrace the technology and utilize it the best way I can, and I can't worry about the rest of society doing that. If you want to,
I can stick up for you too.
Glued to your phone, cool.
I can stick up for you, and there's a line there somewhere where it's easy to cross. Mm-hmm. It's easy to cross into complacency and comfortability in because of the system, because of convenience that we have on that phone. But I can stick up for you here. It's like, I know you don't do that, because you and your wife go out every week. You do date night. You do this. You go camping. You do a lot.
I didn't share it on my phone.
Right. Well, and a lot of people, like me in recovery, when I first started, me and Brian especially, when we first started talking about recovery online and on social media, is like, it was a big, you don't do that. You got to remain anonymous. You got to be doing this. And, and I never got with that. I didn't understand that. I couldn't understand. Like, my addiction was public, We
was in recovery for 2 years before we could say the word anonymity.
Yeah, that's true too. And I think that's the point.
I still can't.
I think that's the point where you can finally start talking about your recovery, when you can do that. But, I couldn't understand that. Like, I'm going to show the world that, yes, you saw me on the front page of the newspaper, U.S. Marshals looking for me. And that side of me. Why would I want to just disappear and become anonymous at this point? Like, I'm doing something great. I'm changing my life. I'm changing the life of the people around me. I'm helping people. I'm guiding people. I'm helping myself. I'm doing all these things that I've never acquired in 35 years of my life. I'm not going to be quiet about it. I'll be damned if I'll be anonymous about my recovery. Right. And I started posting and talking and started the Monday Motivation and doing all these things. And that just, it inspired so many people to get and to want a better life.
So the devil's advocate to that is, well, when you fail, now it looks like the system.
That's what they say.
I'm playing the old schooler that I've heard a million times. You shouldn't do that because this. And in my mind, I fully agree with you, by the way, because in my head, when I was sharing that, I was like, but what if I don't? Yeah. What about when I don't?
It's not. Right? Don't worry about.
Don't set the expectation that I'm automatically going to fall off the cliff.
Than
right?
a preacher that cheats on his wife or steals from the church. It doesn't ruin the faith. It's just that man made a mistake.
Yeah, and that's the thing about it too, is everybody's so like, we're so in this stigma, like you get in recovery, you're gonna fail. You know what? So what?
Well, you used to be shunned for being an alcoholic on like a serious level. Like the stigma. Town wouldn't talk to you when you were an alcoholic. Like that's when it originated. I understand again. Well, listen up.
What was that? My phone?
No, that was my watch because I was.
Think about it though.
Getting emotional.
When you go outside of, I'm not talking now about the 12-step anonymity, but people prefer anonymity. In a way, it's a form of a comfort zone. Imagine this, and I know this is going to sound crazy, but just picture a world where nobody really has to live their own lives. They just plug into this virtual world, and they can do whatever they want. They don't have to take classes. Your son knows his dad wants him to be a karate champ, so he opens up a dojo in this virtual world. They can open up a shop and chase all their dreams. They could look however they want in this virtual, and they could remain anonymous in their chair and never have to leave the house. I know it sounds crazy, but
it's
people predicting
right now.
Yeah,
it doesn't sound crazy. It's actually happening right now.
I just described the metaverse.
In my opinion, is cool. Live there. I want the world to see me, and I want to see the world, so I am choosing differently.
So it comes down.
If you don't want to, again, I can't make anybody. I can't spend my life worrying about what all these other people are going to do. Stuck in this, that's going to be the downfall of everybody but me.
I just don't want my kids plugging into it.
I agree. I agree. I think that.
But when I ask them and I listen to what they want, they're all for it.
Right, but that's because it's an option. Mm-hmm. If you take away the option,
personal
they have
choice,
to come up with something else. Right?
Personal choice.
And as a parent, you can do that. Like when you're 18, my mom was like, when you're 18, you can ride a street bike.
If you make it to 18.
Right. When you're 18, you can ride a street bike, but in this house, you don't. This is my house, my rules.
Yep.
Right.
Simple as that. That was the way I was raised. This is my house. These are my rules. Now, did I go behind their back on many things? Sure. And did I learn from it? Absolutely.
When you got caught.
And other times I didn't learn from it because it was what I wanted and I grew in other ways, but it allowed me the room to fail. But I still had to follow the guidelines of my house, my rules. You can make a decision when you can afford your own place. Mm-hmm. So in order for you to get there, I'm driving you to go out and get your own things. Yeah. And when you can get there, you're now an adult. You can do whatever the hell you want. I'm not going to say a word about it. You want to go do cocaine and 13 hookers all night long? I don't care. It's not my problem.
That's what he couldn't wait till he got 18 so he could do that. It's like, my mama said, woo!
No hookers in the house though after 18.
So to sum this all up, not only will comfort zone ultimately kill a recovering addict or alcoholic, but a comfort zone will kill an individual, it will kill a dream, and ultimately it might be what's killing our society.
It is. 1,000%.
Thank you guys.
Absolutely.
Thank you guys for joining us. If you will, like and subscribe, maybe leave a comment below, tell us what you think, guys. Have a wonderful week.
Can I put my shoes on?